Job search networking is so tricky. I mean, first, you don't get people to respond to you. And when you do, they give you very disheartening advice. They tell you how you would never get a role, how they are only looking for people with work authorization here or people who come from similar industry, similar function and all. I get it. And one of the things which I tell my clients always, feedback is a gift. Not all gift need to be used. Some you can just pack up and put them aside or pass on to someone else. So today I'm creating a very different kind of video. I'm sharing with you some of the objections which my clients face very regularly and some of the things I coach them to say when they're meeting these objections, hoping that it will give you a different perspective when you are speaking to other people for your job search. Hi, my name is Shuk Faujdar. I am a Singapore-based job search strategist and career coach and a former corporate recruiter. I'm also a LinkedIn top voice on job search and careers, so do follow me there. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to this channel. I release 2 videos every week. Tuesdays is nano micro tip, less than 2 minutes, and on Thursdays we do a deep dive like today. So you've got this amazing meeting with someone in your target industry, in your target company, you go to them and they give you a major objection of how you would not get a role there. Do you just accept it? I see so many clients, especially when I start working with them, accept everything they are getting, everybody's suggestion, and then getting confused and moving from one point to the other. So today's video is for you if you are taking everybody's feedback to heart. There's one level of job search, but level 2 goes slightly deeper. So I'm going to share with you the most common objections a lot of my clients get and how are they dealing with these suggestions? How are they going about finding the right level of roles for them despite these objections? One thing to remember, and the most important thing is, look, these people are taking the time to speak with you. Don't get defensive. Don't justify your stand. See what they're saying and be curious about it. There's a difference between being defensive and being curious. And every time I coach my clients, I coach them to be in that space of curiosity rather than defensiveness. Don't fight with them. They've taken the time to speak with you. You can convert them as your strong advocate by asking good questions. Objection 1, for my international clients, for international job seekers, when you are speaking to someone and the person immediately goes, you know what, we will not be authorizing visas. I know so many people in this industry, visas are very difficult. You are going to struggle. Don't even bother applying for roles, which by the way happened to one of my clients. So she came back, she had 4 conversations in a week and she went, everybody I spoke to told me, what am I doing? I mean, I'm not going to get a role. I'm a finance professional. There are a lot of finance people here in Singapore. Why would you choose me versus locals? Great question. So I went back to her and I asked, did you ask people these questions? She was like, what do you mean? Did you go back when somebody said, hey, you need work authorization, slim chance we won't be hiring? Did you go to the next level and said, if you had to sponsor a work visa for someone, if the person's profile was compelling enough to do that, what qualities or experience does this person need to display? The reason we ask this question, firstly, it gets people to come out of a pattern. A lot of people have become so indifferent to the kind of advice they're giving. They give this generic advice to everybody they're meeting. And yes, they're doing a service by speaking to you, but sometimes they need to be questioned on the premise. So when you ask question in a way, firstly, it gets them to really look at your profile. What do you bring to the table? What qualities would they need? And in the process, also question their preconceived notion. Second thing is, you get amazing market insights. Look, I would look at somebody in finance team if they brought this, or if they came with this kind of experience. Okay, so this company may not be relevant. Where do I bring that USP, and where can I go from there? Could be some conversations you have. And by doing this client of mine who is in finance ended up getting a very meaty role in finance controllership for an Australian CPG brand. They were open to sponsoring the visa if she had certain skills. She was able to display them very beautifully. Objection 2. So I recently had a client who met somebody from the renewables industry. And this person told her straight out, why are you even applying to renewables? We will never hire somebody out of the industry. So my client came back disheartened. And I asked her, well, I remember checking out the profile of this person you were meeting, and it showed she isn't from renewables. How did she get in? And my client went speechless. She was like, I did not ask that question. So please ask that question. That's why your research becomes so important. Look at people who may have moved. If the person you're meeting hasn't moved from a different industry, please do a quick search before you go and meet this person. What kind of profiles are there in the company in that particular function? Then you have data to support yourself and say, oh, thank you for that feedback. It seems like a very new thing, because I saw a couple of people in the department who came from blah, 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 blah industry. So what brought about the change? Or was there anything different about their profile which really appealed to you? So please do ask them these questions. Again, the quality of your questions tell people how smart you are, how much research you have done, what you bring to the table. You claiming to be a results-oriented, passionate, creative professional doesn't. Your questions do. So ask them questions which show all these qualities. Number 3 is, oh, we are looking for somebody who has worked in big companies and you come with startups. And the same person was told by startups that, hey, for startups, we typically prefer people who have yada experience. Why don't you apply to a bit more established brand? So before she went for her next networking, I told her, why don't you ask them honestly that, look, a lot of bigger companies are telling me that my USP is working with companies who are undergoing 0 to 1 or 1 to 10 phase, because I stayed in this organization for 8-10 years where I helped in both these phases. That's what I can add value. And now you're telling me that as a startup, you may not have the bandwidth to hire somebody like me. I should go to established. So I'm getting a bit confused. What would you recommend with my kind of experience? What kind of companies should I target, and how do I channel that USP to them? Get them to think about their own advice sometimes, because sometimes people give advice because taking the pressure of helping you may be a bit too much for them. So they tell you how you may not be suitable in their particular environment. Asking the premise and challenging it becomes important. Objection number 4 is when you are expanding your functional expertise. So you have something, you have, say, 60% of the skills which the role requires, or you're moving to a parallel function, or increasing your scope slightly, and people say, oh, you don't have that experience, so it would be a tough ask. In those scenarios, one of the ways to ask people this question is, what do I need to do to be able to consider it for that kind of role? I'm really interested in moving in that line. How can I build the skills and expertise which will make me the right fit for those kind of roles? So you're getting insights from the market itself, from the hiring managers or recruiters themselves, and in the same time, always challenging the premise. The last one is typically about seniority. It could be that you are too senior or you're not senior enough. In both scenarios, ask them, look, if you're senior enough, it could be, look, at this stage in my career, my main motivation is contributing and getting the next group of leaders ready. How can I pitch my experience in a way that companies can see it? The second one, where you are a bit too junior, you don't have experience, you talk about how you've taken bigger roles in your previous organizations. And again, ask them, how can I ensure that people see that I'm willing to take that step up at this level. This is the level I want to go. Or would you advise me to do an interim position before I reach this level? What kind of interim position should I be doing? So in both cases, getting inputs from the market while you are challenging their premise becomes important. So if you see, I think I'm like a broken tape record, your questions anyway challenge their thinking, but you're not fighting. You are curious about it. Once you start being defensive about people, you tell them they're wrong, how everybody else is doing it, you miss that connection. They're not going to help you. But when you come from a place of curiosity and you ask the question, their premise gets challenged without you attacking the person. And you may actually get some fantastic inputs from these people. They may then do a deeper dive, go to your experience in a bit more detail to actually think what could help you in your job search rather than giving you a very overarching or generic statement of how you will find a job. So don't let objections get in the way of getting the role. People are getting jobs despite needing work authorization, despite not focusing in the same industry, despite not having the exact experience every day. Yes, the market is not that beautiful right now that you would be handed everything on silver platter, but things are happening. Make it work for yourself. And before you go, please do subscribe to the channel. Till next week, take care.